So this next piece also just needs a little bit of an explanation, but before I do that, I do want to give one fabulous and huge round of applause for our fabulous accompanist, Mr. Zach. So this piece was arranged by a dear friend of mine, and it was arranged after a piece that was written by, or put together by a group called Vita, and it's inspired by stories of Sudanese basket weavers. The song expresses the pain and hope experienced by those in the famine of the 1980s, In the midst of hardship, a wonderful new sense of creativity emerged when women began weaving baskets as a means of survival. In the middle of the piece, there's an improvisation that is a Bulgarian-influenced vocal sound that is to represent all of the women all over the world supporting these wonderful women in Sudan.
Ease my spirit, ease my soul. Please free my hands from this errand song. Ease my mother, ease my child. Earth and sky be reconciled. Ease my spirit, ease my soul. Please free my hands from this barren soul. Ease my mother, ease my child. Earth and sky be reconciled.
So I've heard that they take bets on who I start crying about first. And just so you all know, it's you collectively that makes me cry. I can talk about any one of you just fine, but when I put it all together in a lump sum, I can't help myself. Ready?
Is the sun? Yes. Starting at soprano 2, in choir for 2 years in upper school, Alexis Cardenas Ham.
Or Mama Lexi, as I've heard you've been called. This term of endearment comes from you always wanting to help everyone. That care and concern showed when we were in the building, and even extended to me when you stood in line after the concert to get your program signed by our conductor and composer, Dr. Z. Randall. You not only got your program signed, but you kindly thought of me, and you had him sign one to me with a personalized message. Thank you. You showed this care and concern for middle schoolers by doing a sewing activity block during your lunch, and you saw a need for a slam poetry team, and you started it yourself. You also take care of your sister, and you made sure that Miss Maniaci and I would share her, and you repeatedly told us how talented she was and that she needed to be in both classes. So, although it took you 2 years to get the courage to audition for Cantate, and then only because someone else signed you up, I'm glad you did. Thank you for taking care of us, and remember to take care of yourself.
At Alto 1, in choir for 4 years in upper school, Trua Ganjawala.
One of your first days at Trouble Ensemble, I remember you explaining to the class what your last name meant. You were very matter-of-fact about it all. As you can imagine, I was a bit surprised and speechless. Which brings me to the fact that you are rarely speechless. And I love that about you. You are always nearby, offering a helping hand, bringing me food that was so hot my head almost exploded, but I kept eating it anyway because it was so good. You continue to work hard at every single thing you do. Your classmates pointed out recently that you were already done with your thesis and had turned it in, while many of them were still struggling to complete it and were in fits of panic. You stood by and smiled calmly. It is your no-nonsense ability to get things done that puts you in a leadership position in Tri-M. And I am always grateful for your offers of help, or just stopping by to check in to see if I need anything.
Starting as an Alto 1 in choir for 5 years at Bosque, Ellie Furst.
Ellie, when you got into Cantate, your email to me was one of my favorites that I've ever received. Especially because when I read it, I thought of it in your very excited and animated voice. Something like this. Dear Ms. Hart, thank you so much. I am so excited. It does say so, like that. So excited to be in Cantate. I thought I failed, but oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I feel like my life is complete now. I can't thank you enough. Ha 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 ha, thanks. One of my other favorite memories was that last year when you received text messages from Miles Horton, the choir president, you told me, yeah, I got the message about when we're singing from, well, I don't know his name, so I just call him Cantate Guy. All of this speaks to the joy and animation you bring to each and every day.
Starting as a soprano 2 in choir for 5 years, Bailey Miller.
Bailey, as I often do, one day I was going around the class trying to get people to use more expression. As I had bugged you before, you knew I was coming to pick on you next. You let your shoulders drop and said, "This is my face, Miss Hart." This is one of the few instances where I suddenly had fear of the fact that you are a black belt in karate. One of the best memories I have in Italy was sitting next to you in St. Peter's Basilica. We were about to sing. We were talking about the trip so far, and we looked up at the huge altar, and all around it, the people there with us. We talked a little bit about some of the other schools that were there with us, and some of the things that they were doing. And you looked at me and said so perfectly, Bosque students are just so open to new people and experiences. I think that's part of what makes our school so great. And you're right. And you have a beautiful face, even more so when you smile with expression.
Starting as a soprano to inquire for 5 years, Rachel Harrison.
Rachel, I will never forget getting the email from your mom that you were in the hospital. The diagnosis was so scary I couldn't quite understand it. I remember parking in the hospital parking lot and worrying what kind of shape you would be in and if you could even have visitors. I walked into your room and in your usual style, you stood right up with a big, huge smile and came to hug me, thanking me for coming and reassuring me that everything was going to be okay. You talked calmly about what was going on, and I left feeling better. Somehow the opposite of what was supposed to happen, which would be me, the adult, coming to tell you everything was going to be all right. You continue to go along calmly and quietly, getting things done, but being firm and doing things the right way. It was a joy to celebrate your birthday with you in Siena. One of my other favorite memories of you was when your 90-some-year-old grandmother came to treble ensemble and we sang for her. Her joy and her passion for life were an inspiration as she declared that we were all like angels singing to her.
Sark, you're making me cry. Starting as a baritone in choir for 5 years, with a break in between, Tommy Miller.
When you were in 7th and 8th grade, Tommy, your mom would tell me how much you loved choir. I would nod my head and wonder, could it be true? You took a little break from choir in 9th grade, and then you came back as a sophomore, and now students were telling me also that you loved choir, and you were always singing the songs outside of class. I started to believe it, especially when I was running around one night getting ready for our fall concert. I happened to walk past you in a big hurry, as I usually am, and you were just leaving soccer practice to get ready for the concert, and you said, I'm so excited for tonight, Miss Hart. It took away all of my nerves and helped me remember that this is what the concerts are all about. Your love for choir became more well known to everyone as one day we were preparing to sing the Star Spangled Banner. That's okay. Everyone was all set and quiet. We were just about to start when, quick, beside yourself, you closed your eyes and said almost to yourself, it's the best song ever. There are several other funny quotes that I could add, but I will also always remember your kinder side. Like when you said, you were the first person who said you would jump down and save me if I ever did faint during a concert. I will also remember you cleaning up after a spill on the train because you wanted to make sure no one else would slip or fall on the stairs, and that you often were sticking around to ask if I needed help carrying anything. Thank you.
Starting as an alto 1 in choir for 6 years, Hannah Guzman.
One thing we will all remember about you is that you are always singing. In middle school, I remember Miss Jenkins asking repeatedly if you were in choir because you were always singing. Was I sure she wasn't in choir? Yes, I knew who she was, and I wondered myself, why weren't you in choir? But early on in 7th grade, you made yourself a permanent spot in my classroom. Thereafter, you took off with my pitch pipe to begin your long career of singing the Star Spangled Banner at Bosque. Thank you for loving my children. Sorry, I hate this part. Thank you for always answering my last-minute texts to sing for morning meeting, a convention, a basketball tournament, a city planning event, or anything else that comes up, you always do so with such stage presence. From such an early age, you could take what could have been a little mistake, like forgetting a word or something, and making it part of the performance so easily. You breathe music. No matter what comes your way in life and in your singing career, remember that. The joy that you get from singing is the #1 reason to keep singing all the time, so always keep singing. The joy that it brings to all of us is wonderful. The joy it brings to you is why you breathe music.
Starting as a bass 2, in choir for 6 years, Gabe Chavez.
I remember in middle school that you couldn't stand still for very long. At one point, you and I had to have a conversation in the hallway. As I began to talk, I hope this is okay, I noticed one tear start to flow. And I realized then and there that you had a tender heart and that your feelings were not to be taken lightly. In 8th grade, you started to sing out a lot. Sometimes kind of as a joke, like big, oh. But I started to hear some possibility in there. Soon you were dancing away while we sang Climbing Up the Mountain, and I knew you were hooked. Because of your years in basketball, you understand being a team player, and I appreciate that you were always willing to step up and try any solo. I believe your first successful one was something like this. Ball. I will miss your terrible excuses for being late, and all of your dancing and great facial expressions that have been in the back row of the risers for the last 4 years.
Starting as a soprano 1, in choir all 7 years, Olivia Gora.
Olivia, I remember you coming in as a 6th grader and being my advisee. You always had sparkly shoes and lots to talk about. Thanks to your mom, who was always prepared for any single possible moment and for everything. I have lots of pictures from all states of concerts and wonderful memories of your family. As a freshman, you were a bit quieter. I watched with amazement as you braved a difficult surgery, and you showed your amazing inner strength. In Italy, I got the chance to see your incredible love for your family, and got to spend time running with you there, while you maintained your huge smile and happiness, even when we were running up hills and sweating like uncontrollably in the extreme humidity. You still kept smiling and jogging along. Your inner strength and kindness showed again the other night, as you stood up and spoke with confidence in front of a large crowd at the ice cream social for newly accepted students. What really surprised me, however, was your spot-on impersonation of Mr. Burrell. Just another one of the many, many talents that you possess. You come into class declaring that you found Waldo, or when you graciously offer your brother to sing some solos, or when Miss Amy was playing the piano and petting Rags at the same time, and you suggested that soon birds might come and perch on her shoulder. I'm sure there are many more quotes, but there's also something else in you. I recall a day when you were in 8th or 9th grade and I said, in my next life, I'd like to have legs as long as yours. You replied, I hate it. I think that you've probably seen the benefit in your long legs now and have more appreciation for them. And I have also changed my mind now. Now, instead of the long legs, I just want to hit the crap out of a volleyball one time like you do, because it seems like so satisfying. Most importantly, remember that the strength you have on the court does not stop there. You have it in you all of the time, no matter what you're doing.
Starting as a tenor 1, in choir all 7 years, Kolya Venturi.
Before you leave Bosque, I will need you to write up a tech handbook for helping Ms. Hart. Often when you walk into class, I will beg for your help on something with my computer that I've been working on and can't seem to figure out. Within 1 or 2 minutes, you've completed the task and are back on the risers warming up before I can even show you exactly what I thought I needed. You have somehow been able to balance being a tech, being in the one acts, being in choir, being the lead in the musical, and doing every other thing I can see you doing around campus with Matt Fike. Some of my favorite memories are walking into my classroom, hearing you play the theme song from The Office, your own Disney medley that you created, and sometimes your very own original compositions. You have carried on the strong tenor tradition from the last year's 3 senior tenors, all by yourself. Thank you for your leadership, your love of singing, your kindness, and for always being the first person to rush in and help me move the piano and anything else I need.
Starting as a soprano 1, in choir all 7 years, Claire Wendra.
I remember after the spring concert your 6th grade year, you rushed up to me and told me decidedly that you would be in choir for all 7 years. It was obvious that I had no say in the matter. Recently, some amazing choir parents helped out in my classroom and they transformed it into something organized. One of the things they did was they put all of the cards and thank you letters I have into one box. As I leafed through it, thinking how nice it was to have this box of happiness, I realized that there are thank you cards and letters from you several times a year from all 7 of your years of choir. It comes as no surprise as you are incredibly organized. This is evidenced by the way you run Triumph like a mini empire. In fact, I've decided that you are now hired to run my family life the same way. Please send emails, make announcements to my husband and children about what needs to be done when, have them sign in, give them clear deadlines and consequences. I think it was the beginning of last year when you told me that you were already in tears thinking about your last concert and all the time that you and I spent together. It has indeed been 7 years together. You called it. And although I have not done my share of writing thank you cards and letters, I want you to know I thank you.
Starting as an alto 2, in choir all 7 years, Eloise Dutrain.
Eloise, when I think about you, it seems that you were always there, always helping me, never making a big deal about your many talents, designing and making your own dress, filing music for me, holding my dog in the car on the way to the zoo, writing a song in 6th grade for the opera, being the leader of the Munchkins, president of student government, singing tenor, teaching Miss Maniaci how to kayak, apparently much better than I did, sticking with your volleyball team even when injuries kept you from playing, reassembling a dress to fit over your cast, or calmly letting me know after class there's a part we are not getting in a certain spot. One of my proudest moments was watching you sing Feed the Birds at Spaghetti and Serenades last year, after the stress it had caused you before. Another moment I feel that describes your personality perfectly is that although you were disappointed when you didn't make Cantate as a freshman, you quickly made your attitude one of can-do, and you turned to your friend and said, "It's okay, we will be the leaders of treble ensemble." Thank you for all of the wonderful things you do for our school.
Starting as an alto 1, in choir all 7 years, Kate Gerhardt.
Kate, I do remember in 7th and 8th grade that you were at times a bit argumentative. Now, you might disagree with me, and that certainly will continue to steer you in the direction of the career I think that you will probably choose. A case in point is that you brought in a comment I wrote for you in the 6th grade and questioned me on what I had written. Really, Miss Hart? I was negative? You continue to argue with Claire over who had the lead in the 6th grade opera. And I will add here that you can still sing all of the songs from it, word for word. Of course, the most important thing that you argue for is fairness and equality for everyone, and you're not afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Beyond your your talent for arguing. You can speak eloquently on any subject. In particular, I remember you speaking about the Olympic National Forest and your kindness to the 7th and 8th graders on the trip, who heard you speak about the restoration of the Elwha River in amazement. Thank you for loving my children and picking them up from school on numerous occasions. Thank you for putting these many talents of passion, debate, and humor. And your sweatshirt is right. A woman's place is in the House and in the Senate. And I plan on seeing you there. Thank you, and I love all of you equally and cry for all of you equally. Thank you.
Did my God deliver Moses
have you stay here for just like a couple more minutes, and we'll be home by like 11, I swear. So Miss Hart always says nice things about us, and I always love when people say nice things about her. And then I was on a choir president, and the only thing I cared about was that I got to say the nice things. So here we go. The other day, Miss Hart said that she didn't want this speech to be about her, but instead to be about the choir as a whole. And while that's adorable that she thinks that's even remotely possible, I'm just going to have to ignore her wish completely. Because without her, there really is no cantate. Not just in the literal sense, but also because she is truly the spirit behind the whole operation. This choir wouldn't make it if she wasn't the one standing in front of us, and that's a guarantee. While she was on maternity leave a few years ago, we were left with a substitute. And while I won't divulge the details, you can trust me when I say there are some horrific stories. So while it's all a bit cheesy, I'd like the next minute or so to not only thank the choir, but to also celebrate the one and only Miss Joanna Carlson Hart. You see the basketball stars and the theater geeks, some mathematical thinkers, and one or two physics geniuses. Throw in our resident volleyball players and lacrosse players, and it's almost like a new cast of Glee. There are probably kids that your own sons and daughters wouldn't ever bring home to play video games with or study for Latin, and a lot of names you've never even heard of, nor will you ever. But beyond these things, you see a family that Miss Hart has carefully constructed over the years. She brought us all in, taught us how to truly love music and how to truly love each other. Before writing this, it didn't really make sense to me. I didn't understand how such fundamentally different teenagers could get along with each other for less than an hour a day and then go on to not speak to each other for the remaining 6 hours of school. But then it clicked. Yes, we all like music, and most of us like singing. But more than that, we love Miss Hart. And the love and the admiration for her is something that brings us all together. She has shared her joy and incredible talent with us, and we want to give it all back because she truly deserves it. We don't put the work in for ourselves. We put the work in because she tells us that we can. And it's a really great feeling when we finish a song, and it was good enough to make her smile. Because right in that moment, it does become about this. We prove to ourselves that we can do it. It's incredibly unifying. And it really and truly does all stem from the wonderful and amazing work that Miss Hart puts into her job and into all of us. But I guess none of that would work if we weren't truly exceptional people. Our choir is a safe space filled with laughter and camaraderie. I adore everyone in our family, and I like to think that's pretty mutual. I've worked with quite a few big choirs in my musical time, but this one is different. It's more special than any of us here will ever truly understand. Beyond that, I have nothing more to say. The feeling of singing together isn't something that I can explain to all of you. It's something that we get to keep for ourselves, and I think we like it that way. We're so very thankful to have spent the last few years in that classroom, and I know that none of us would trade it for the world, but more than that, we wouldn't trade our time with Miss Hart. We're better musicians and people because of her. So thank you, Mr. Carr. Thank you, Miss Cantate. But most importantly, thank you, Miss Hart.